Do yourself a favor and listen up, brother. Welcome back to the fire. Yesterday, we read the first part of chapter 13 from my book, Builder vs. Bamboozler, the part where we watched a good man slowly lose his throne by giving up his edge, one quiet compromise at a time. We ended right at the moment his polarity collapsed, when he started accepting breadcrumbs, a smile here, a distracted kiss there, and mistook being tolerated for her comfort as love. If you haven't heard part 1 yet, it's in the description. Go listen to that first. But if you're ready for the truth, exactly where we left off, settle in. This is the second part of chapter 13, Polarity versus Parity. Let's pick up right where the collapse begins. What started as a small compromise snowballs into complete emasculation. He tells himself he's patient, he's understanding, he's giving her space, but really, he's shrinking. And every inch he gives up trying to keep the peace is another inch she withdraws into indifference. Once he reaches that point, the collapse turns inward. His mind starts looping, replaying every small interaction, searching for where he went wrong. Anxiety creeps in, sleep disappears, and his nervous system turns into a noisy static. Those of you from the 1900s will understand that reference. He's restless, foggy, short-tempered, and desperate for clarity she can't give him. The polarity's gone, and now she has nowhere to anchor, because the man who once felt like solid ground has turned into quicksand. The safety she once felt in his presence has evaporated. And right on cue, the words drop like a guillotine. I'm just not sure what I want. I think we need a little space. Let's walk this slowly, because this is the hinge of the whole chapter. When a man and woman first connect, there's usually a clear polarity. He's leaning forward, initiating, pursuing, planning. She's responding, open, receiving. This does not make her weak. It makes the dance balanced. His forward motion gives her something to respond to. Her response fuels his motion. That is polarity. But somewhere down the line, especially if he's addicted to her approval, he begins to reverse the current. He stops trusting in his own lead. He starts thinking he has to get her to sign off on everything. He texts before he calls. He asks before he decides. He checks the temperature of her mood before he presents his own. He stops being the thermostat and becomes the thermometer. Now, he's no longer the sun she orbits. He's a weather app. He's constantly monitoring, checking her, adjusting himself so she never feels discomfort. That seems loving, but it's actually the first stage of losing the throne, running behind her. Going back to our kite analogy, once this man gets her, he's no longer sitting firm in the sand with both hands gripping the handle, guiding the string, feeling the pull of her energy and meeting it with strength. Now, she feels like a kite he's let go of and is running behind. You ever watch that handle bounce and tumble across the ground? That's what it feels like when she tests and there's nothing solid on the other end. Of course she can't feel his strength, because every time she pulls, he's just flying with her in the same direction. The line goes slack, the connection dies, and the dance turns into drift. Remember this, most men do not lose women because of lack of love. They lose them because they collapse. They lose their edge. They become passive, anxious, or reactive. A woman can stay with a man she loves for years and not respect him, just tolerate him. She can stay because of the kids, the mortgage, the shared history, the convenience, or even out of compassion. But she cannot stay turned on by a man who has handed her the wheel and said, "You steer. I'm too scared or tired or sedated to drive." She might take the wheel because she's capable, but she'll resent it. She'll resent him, and she will feel the heavy, unspoken truth. I am carrying the masculine role because he will not. And at some point, she'll look at him and think, I can love you, but I cannot follow you. And when a woman cannot follow you, a woman cannot desire you. Desire is not democratic. Desire bows to direction. I love you, but I'm not in love with you. Have you ever seen or heard of a woman who right after a breakup runs straight into the arms of a good-for-nothing degenerate? The kind of guy that her friends can't believe she's with? She hasn't lost her mind or her taste. She's rebalancing. For too long, she was trapped in a dynamic where she had to play the man. Now she's starving for the polarity she's been missing, for masculinity. So she finds a man who's fully rooted in his masculine, maybe rough, maybe reckless, and she submits to him completely. Not because he's good for her, but because her system is desperate to feel that charge again. She'll surrender to his direction, his dominance, his raw uncertainty, until her body remembers what it truly feels like to let go. It isn't logical, it's biological. And yes, she'll do things with him she'd never do with you. Things you'd never even imagine asking for, because he isn't asking, he's leading. and she's finally allowing herself to let go and follow. Now, she's softer, her voice, her walk, even her energy has changed. She's looking and feeling more feminine altogether. He's likely temporary, as she just needs a realignment in her feminine. This is where we get the split between the builder and the bamboozler. The builder knows that leadership in love is not about superiority, it's about responsibility. He knows polarity is not about domination, but about clarity. He understands that to keep the current alive, he has to keep showing up as the man who chooses, the man who decides, the man who holds tension. He does not abdicate the role even when she's stronger than him in certain areas, even when she has more money, even when she has more social options, even when she's in a hormonal spike and breathing fire, even when she's testing him with silence or sharpness. He does not match her volatility. He regulates her with his steadiness. He is not her yes man. He is the mountain. She is the weather. He remains. The bamboozler tries to love like a therapist and seduce like a roommate. He overvalidates, he overexplains, he turns every moment of tension into a 90-minute couples workshop because he's scared she'll leave if he puts his foot down. He doesn't realize that she's leaving because he never did put his foot down. The builder, when he senses the polarity starting to fade, does not rush to negotiate sex, attention, or affection. He does not start complaining that she doesn't initiate. He does not start begging for validation. He goes to the root. Did I lower my standard? Did I stop leading? Did I get lazy with my production, my discipline, my training, my presentation, my erotic presence, my boundaries? Did I outsource to her what was mine to carry? And if the answer is yes, he tightens up. He sharpens the sword. He builds himself back into the man she met, not the man she domesticated. The man she met, because women rarely leave the man they met. They leave the version of him he became when he got comfortable. They leave the man who stopped sharpening his edge. Holding the throne is a daily discipline. Men hate hearing that, but it's true. You do not get to lock into your masculine presence on Monday and coast until December. Not if your woman's feminine, alive, and attracted to power. Feminine energy tests, it swirls, it probes. It wants to know if the castle's still guarded. It wants to know if the king is still awake. It wants to know if you'll protect the current. All right, brother. That wraps up part one. That wraps up part 1 of chapter 13. If you're feeling this and you want to go deeper, go ahead and hit the QR code or the link in the description and grab your own copy of the Builder vs. Bamboozler Volume 1. Don't wait. This chapter hits harder when you've got the whole book in your hands. And make sure you subscribe and turn on the bell, because tomorrow I'm dropping the second half of this chapter. And trust me, you don't want to miss where this goes. I'm proud of you. Be proud of yourself. Do yourself a favor and settle back in today, fellas. Yesterday, I read you the first half of chapter 13 from my book, Builder vs. Bamboozler, Volume 1. Today, we finish it. If you haven't heard part 1 yet, hit pause and go listen to that video first. It lays the foundation. It explains why polarity dies, why women test, and how good men slowly give away the throne without even noticing. This is the second half. This second half is where everything clicks. This is where the dots connect between her How come I can't say shit sometimes? This is where the dots connect between her behavior and your leadership, and the collapse or resurrection of desire. If you're a man who's ever been blindsided, confused, or pulled into "we need space," this section's gonna sting in all the right ways. The link and the QR code on the screen will take you straight to the full book on Amazon, and it's only $12, brothers. So you can read this chapter in its entirety whenever you want. Take a breath, and let's get into it. This is the second half of chapter 13, Polarity versus Parity. Let's begin. A woman's test is not always a conscious attack. It often is an unconscious check for safety. Can I lean? Can I soften? Can I relax in this man's life? Can I cry? Can I rage? Can I have a bad day without him collapsing? Will he stay rooted when I'm not? If the answer over time becomes no, then she takes the crown. Not because she wants to run everything, but because someone has to. And the second she takes it, attraction begins to die. Here's another way to say it. You can have partnership and polarity, but not if you confuse roles. Partnership means we're on the same team. Polarity means we're not playing the same position. And the position of masculine is to lead the direction, steward the frame, and absorb the chaos. Men who refuse to do that under the banner of we're a modern couple are often the most secretly miserable because they're playing against their own nature. They repeat empty slogans like happy wife, happy life, not realizing it's the biggest lie out there. Or they call her their better half, not seeing that it's just pedestalizing her in a different light. Those phrases may sound romantic, but they drip with self-eraser. They turn a man into a supporting character in his own story. So they end up in relationships where everything is discussed but nothing is decided. Every weekend is a conversation. Every purchase is a negotiation. Every moment of tension is a standstill. No one wants to be the bad guy. But the masculine role is not to be the bad guy. It is to be the compass. If you cannot do that, your woman will step into the masculine mode for you, and you'll resent her for it, and she'll resent you for making her do it. Being from an area with a lot of very left-wing liberal couples, you see this play out constantly. They proclaim a beautifully equal modern relationship, but she's hyper-feminist and has unwittingly turned that stance into the very crux that depolarizes the relationship. So they pivot into ENM, ethically non-monogamous. Since they're so evolved and monogamy is just a social construct, even though she insists she wants a fully equal relationship, a man with the exact same ideals, so she has convinced a weak, conflict-avoidant man to let her seek pleasure outside the relationship. And do you know what the bio usually says? ENM, married female, seeking dominant male to punish my naughty side, or some version of that. And the photos? Half are scantily clad, thirst traps. The other half, she's dressed in a way that looks more masculine than feminine, a perfect snapshot of her internal polarity split. Often, the husband even allows her to post a picture of the two of them together, sitting beside all the photos she's curated to attract more masculine men. They don't even see the irony. Brother, if you're feeling this chapter good, it's supposed to hit hard. Most men never learn this until it's too late. If you want the full truth, the framework behind these stories, you'll find the link to Builder vs. Bamboozler, Volume 1, in the description. And the QR code on the screen will take you straight to the book on Amazon. Because this isn't entertainment, this is masculine clarity. This is the difference between being chosen and being tolerated. And listen, we're not done. Tomorrow I'm releasing the final part of Chapter 13, the part where everything shifts, where the builder rises again, and where you learn exactly how to become undeniable. So make sure you're subscribed, hit the bell, and be ready for the last piece of this chapter. I'm proud of you, brother. Be proud of yourself.